Thank you for joining us tonight. You're now with me, Cheryl Shaminato, for TVS Nightline. We begin with the headlines tonight. Major cities in Sarawak were in darkness as a massive power outrage occurred around 9:30 p.m. tonight. Now, based on our TVS Facebook Live comments, power interruptions were reported across Kuching, Sibu, Betong, Sri Aman, Miri and Bintulu. And for that, we have Douglas Elliott on the field to tell us about the current situation. So, Douglas, can you let us know what is the current atmosphere from above?
I'm on the rooftop of our studios, where just now around 9:30 p.m. the Kuching city descended into darkness. So based on the comments on our Facebook Live, it's reported the power outage is reported across Kuching, Sri Aman, Betong, and even Miria. So in a statement, the Sarawak Energy Berhad CEO, Dato' Shebini, said that a double trip occurred in the Murum transmission, which caused the massive power outage. And about 10 p.m., the team is currently working on it to restore the power supply. And also reported on our Facebook Live, more than 2 million people have been affected by this. However, the power supply have been fully restored. And Kuching, as you can see now, some of it are fully restored, but some are yet to see any of it. So currently, it's still partially dark right here. But nonetheless, the teams are working on it. And that's all I have for you right now. More update coming up for sure. Definitely tune in with us and more on our online page as well. Thank you so much. Back to you, Cheryl.
All right, thank you, Douglas, for that update, and to our TVS crew for updating our fellow Sarawakians who was rife with talks of the blackout earlier on our TVS Live page. And Sarawak Energy Berhad is doing all they can within the capacity to restore power to the other areas affected as soon as possible. Here we hope everyone is safe at home and remain calm. And now on to our next update. Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS today expressed its support for Perikatan Nasional PN government under the leadership of Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin as the Prime Minister. GPS Chairman Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tunopeng said now is not the time for politicking as it would undermine the stability of the country.
Number one, GPS wishes to state that it is supporting the PN government under the leadership of Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Haji Muhyiddin bin Muhammad Yassin.
According to Abang Johari, who is Sarawak Chief Minister, the meeting was called to discuss on the political development at the federal level. UMNO President Dato' Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi announced in a statement on July 7 that the party, which before this backed the PN government, along with GPS, was withdrawing its support for Muhyiddin as the Prime Minister with immediate effect. GPS is led by Parti Pesaka Bumiputra Bersatu PBB, of which Abang Johari is the president, with the other component parties in the ruling coalition in Sarawak being Parti Rakyat Sarawak, PRS, Sarawak United People's Party, SUPP, and the Progressive Democratic Party, PDP. Meanwhile, a total of 20,000 residents from the Pantai Damai constituency are expected to complete the vaccination program by August, said Assistant Minister of Islamic Affairs and DBKU, Dr. Abdul Rahman Junaidi.
Jumlah setakat ini penduduk masyarakat di kawasan Dun Pantai Damai mencecah hampir 8,000 orang yang telah pun mendapat suntikan dos pertama dan juga dos yang kedua. Sekiranya dapat kita laksanakan dengan teratur dalam tempoh 2-3 minggu yang akan datang, insya-Allah kita dapat memberi vaksinasi ini kepada kesemua masyarakat kita menjelang awal bulan Ogos yang akan datang. Jumlahnya hampir 20,000 orang.
To date, almost 8,000 residents have completed both doses at the Santabong PPV, Buntal PPV and Telaga I PPV, which began operations since June 15. Dato' Abdul Rahman, who is also Pantai Damai Member of Parliament, said the close cooperation of the Village Development and Security Committee enabled the vaccination process at the area to be expedited.
In the case of those who were unwilling to get vaccinated, medical officers were requested to give proper consultation. Meanwhile, a total of 800 residents were expected to receive the second dose of the vaccine at the Petrajaya Health Clinic on Saturday and Sunday.
And only registered health officers are allowed to be in charge at the PPV Indoor Stadium in Cebu. Fear not, as there will not be any disguise issue during the vaccination process. All officers, regardless of their status being from the Ministry of Health and MUHYIDDIN, have their own respective coordinators. The coordinators are responsible for the attendance of the medical officers under their supervision.
Pihak kami memang ambil beratlah tentang perkara tersebut, dan untuk PPV Cebu Indoor Stadium ini, bagi kami setakat ini tidak ada masalah lah. Kami di sini ada dua ketua PPV, iaitu untuk petugas bukan KKM ada seorang penyelaras, dan untuk KKM ada seorang penyelaras sendirilah.
Every officer on duty at the PPV has their own monthly duty roster, and this will make it easier for the coordinators to identify every individual. In addition, officers on duty will also need to report their attendance upon arrival.
Dan memang ketua PPV memang ada berada di dalam senarai kehadiran, tidak diletakkan di luar. Sebab ketua PPV sama ada non-KKM atau KKM memang memantaulah kehadiran staf berkenaan. Jadi perkara ini, kalau ada orang asing datang bertugas, memang kami di sini boleh kenal pasti.
Meanwhile, for new officers, they have to report to their head coordinator upon reporting for duty.
Penyelaras akan menetapkan di mana dia sepatutnya bertugas. Dan kalau petugas KKM, kami memang ambil daripada pejabat kesihatan ataupun di klinik-klinik. Memang anggota kesihatan sendiri yang penyelaras kenal lah. Kalau non-KKM, in-charge non-KKM yang akan memantau petugas-petugas dia sendiri. Jadi masalah ini memang tak akan berlaku lah. Kami memang mengenali antara satu sama lain.
And a woman was rushed to the Sarawak General Hospital after she was allegedly stabbed by her husband at a house in Jalan Tabuan last night. Kuching District Police Chief ACP Asmon Baja said a report of the incident was received at around 1:10 p.m. and the woman suffered several injuries.
Kes tu kita dah siasat di bawah Seksyen 326 mencederakan dia menggunakan sebilah pisau. Jadi suami tu dah menyerahkan diri semalam juga. Yang suspek itu dia menyerah diri. Kemudian kita tahan reman sehingga 12 hari bulan 7. Kita percaya berdasarkan siasatan awal ada masalah dalaman keluarga dia lah. Kita masih menyiasat yang ini. Kita akan rujuk pada DPP kalau cukup semua siasatan kita habis, selesai. Kita akan kajilah untuk dituduh di bawah Seksyen 326 Kanun Keseksaan.
And based on the thresholds as set out under the National Recovery Plan (NRP), the Sarawak government has agreed to move from Phase 1 to Phase 2 of the plan. Sarawak Disaster Management Committee SDMC Chairman Dato' Ahmad Douglas Uga Amba said a detailed assessment of the effects of the Movement Control Order had been made by taking into consideration the views of various parties and the hardship faced by the people during this pandemic.
Sehubung dengan itu, Kerajaan Sarawak bersetuju untuk melaksanakan paralian fasa Pelan Pemulihan Negara mengikut pencapaian nilai ambang indikator yang telah ditetapkan dan tidak lagi menggunakan kaedah yang sebelum ini, iaitu mempunyai tarikh
The NRP is seen as an exit strategy from the COVID-19 pandemic. Uga pointed out that it gives a clear direction to enable the government to bring Sarawak out of the present health crisis.
Plan ini merupakan satu panduan yang dirangka berdasarkan data dan sains, merangkumi 4 fasa. Pilihan fasa dari satu fasa ke satu fasa bergantung kepada pencapaian nilai ambang ataupun threshold 3 indikator utama. Yang pertama adalah keadaan penularan COVID-19 dalam komuniti berdasarkan bilangan kes jangkitan mingguan. Kedua, kadar penggunaan katil di ward ICU. Dan ketiga, peratusan populasi Sarawak yang telah lengkap menerima 2 dos suntik vaccination.
Additionally, Uga said SDMC is in the midst of reviewing these thresholds to enable Sarawak to move into the next phase. Commenting further, he said the reviews will be done based on divisions and districts. The results of the review will be announced in the near future.
And now on to another development. Sarawakins are urged to play their part in preventing the transmission of the Delta variant in the state. Uga stressed that the new variant poses a new challenge to the state, especially the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee.
Kita telah mengenakan compulsory quarantine untuk semua yang masuk ke Sarawak. Compulsory quarantine for 14 days. Dan kita telah pun membuat memberitahu bahawa kita setakat ini tidak membenarkan masyarakat yang dari Labuan datang ke Sarawak. Dia memohon kebenaran dari kerajaan negeri.
Uga added security personnel at the borders had been reinforced to ensure that the Delta variant does not spread further.
This is another source of possible entry of all the other variant. Jadi kita ada dari laut, ada dari utara, ada juga dari darat. So we are trying very best to see how we can control the variants. But most important, orang rakyat Sarawak sendiri mesti terus ikut our PKP, amalkan tabiat yang sihat, social distancing, avoid gathering.
Meanwhile, regarding the vaccination drive in the state, Sarawak had already achieved a quota of 77,343 on Thursday, which comprises of 29,206 first doses and 48,137 second doses. Overall, out of the 2.2 million population in Sarawak that are eligible to receive the vaccines, 63.65% have already received their first doses and 61.32% already received their second doses. Uga was also confident that Sarawak would be able to vaccinate 80% of the people in the state by August. He noted that there were no issues when it came to people receiving their shots.
Now on to the next news. Agrobank Sarawak is scheduled to begin its mobile banking services on July 12, covering Padawan and Tebedu in an effort to provide a more comprehensive access to banking services for the rural communities in the state. Meanwhile, RHB Bank will also be rolling out its mobile banking services for Asajaya and Sadongjaya districts on the same day.
According to RHB Bank Sarawak Regional Director Muhammad Tony Ong Abdullah, the mobile bank would cover the two areas on specific days. The operating hours will be conducted in 2 shifts. Meanwhile, the operating hours for Agrobank will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the compounds of the Padawan Sub-District Office from July 12th to July 16th. In regards to the available services provided, Agrobank Sarawak said it would include automated teller machine ATM services, account opening, debit card application, and Takaful Kasih Plus product promotions. The public are reminded to observe the Standard Operating Procedure SOP and always practice physical distancing when using the facilities provided by the mobile banks.
And at least 5 vehicles were destroyed in a fire that broke out at a car air conditioning workshop at Jalan Batukawa, Kuching on Saturday. 2 vehicles were 70% destroyed, while 3 others were 50% destroyed.
8 personnel from the Batu Lintang Fire and Rescue Department rushed to the fire scene upon receiving a distress call around 6:55 a.m.
Berdasarkan kepada kes kebakaran inilah kita syaki berlaku daripada overloading current dan masih dalam siasatan sebab beberapa perkara yang berlaku di lokasi yang agak memerlukan siasatan dalaman yang lebih terperinci. Kebakaran hanyalah menjejaskan lebih kurang 20% daripada bengkel aircon servis tadi.
The operation ended at 7:57 a.m. and no casualties were reported in the incident. Cause of the fire and estimated loss are still under investigation.
Jangan lupa saksikan hasil-hasil setiap Sabtu 1.45 petang hanya di TVS saluran 122 Astro and My Preview.
Under the great blue sky over Hornbill's land grows Sarawak's treasure, pepper. Its reputation precedes itself and is used by millions all over the world. However, very few understand the challenges faced by pepper farmers. Episode 3: Adversity.
Ayah, su artinya. Nevin.
Cik pula alik yang tak jadi buat ya.
Oh, ada gas.
Yang penting gas ya.
Oh, yang penting gas.
Macam gas ya. Cik, ambil yang mana lah. Aku mau viral ni. Apa kau mau viral? Siapa masuk buat nisipek? Apa bang ada nisipek? Ai, show kan TVS ya. Setiap Isnin sampai Ahad, 2 suku petang. Sama kan? 1, 2, 2. Tahu pun. Tahu pun tanya aku.
Rocking your weekend with a wide selection of music videos. From your favorite local artists to the fiercely indies, we've got you covered. Weekend Vibes new season every Sunday at 12:30 p.m. only on TVS channel 122.
Back to the Nightline with the COVID-19 development. Today, Malaysia recorded its highest ever number for positive COVID-19 cases. A total of 9,353 cases were recorded today, where more than half were attributed to Selangor.
The staggering number has brought the total number of infections in Malaysia to 827,191. Meanwhile, Sarawak recorded 352 cases today, a slight decline from yesterday, bringing the total number to 68,599 cases recorded here. Additionally, 1 new cluster was identified at the Sungai Setajam cluster in Sarawak.
Differences in opinion, debates, exchanges of views and criticism, either in the mainstream media or social media, should be welcomed and respected to allow democracy to mature, said Communications and Multimedia Minister Dato' Saifuddin Abdullah.
He said this at a press conference after launching the Pahang Entrepreneur Workshop Digital Empowerment Program today. He said the development of social media has given birth to a digital community that is free to use various online platforms to express its views. However, the views must be expressed in a respectful manner based on facts and data. And if talking about politics, they must be based on the Constitution, Rukun Negara, and so on.
On to the next highlight. Over 3 million, or 10% of the Malaysian population, have completed 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccination as of July 9th. According to the National COVID-19 Immunisation Programme Coordinating Minister Khairi Jamaluddin, this meant that Malaysia has met the first national threshold for the transition from Phase 1 of the Movement Control Order under the National Recovery Plan.
Have given 30% of our adult population at least 1 dose, and 13.6% of our adult population above 18 the full 2 doses. Total population that has received 2 doses is 10%. So we've met the first national threshold for the Phase 1 of the recovery program already. Next. So this was the ramp up over the last week. We managed to, I announced at the beginning of this month, we wanted to do 300,000 on average in the month of July. Over the last 3 days, we did 1 million doses.
Referring to the smaller number of doses administered a few months ago, Khairi, who is also the Science, Technology and Innovation Minister, said it was caused by low vaccine supply as well as global inequality in vaccine distribution. Khairi noted that as of July 4th, Malaysia had received 12.6 million doses of AstraZeneca, Pfizer and Sinovac vaccines from a total of 67 million doses procured.
We are waiting for another 54. So this is to indicate to the Pharmacy Society that it's actually an issue of supply, not capacity. Once we get our capacity supply, we are operating at a utilization ratio of 90% right now.
Referencing data reported in other countries, including Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Singapore, Khairi said the number of new cases and deaths is expected to start declining upon reaching 30 to 40 people per 100 people that are fully vaccinated, or 30 to 40% of the population fully vaccinated. He added by the end of August, Malaysia should achieve full vaccination for 30 to 40% of the population, and a decline in death rate is expected to be observed based on world data.
Meanwhile, it is still too early to decide on whether the 3rd dose of vaccine is necessary. This was recently stated by the European Medicine Agency, who further said that the current dosage was sufficient.
Previously, Pfizer Biotech requested approval from the FDA and the EMA to allow a 3rd dose to be administered. Due to the evolution of a new COVID-19 variant, namely Delta and Lambda, the risk of infection is now greater, even though the 2-dose vaccination regimes have been completed. Michael Dolston, a scientist from Pfizer, stated that the recent spike of cases in Israel had shown a decreased efficacy rate as many were infected after being fully vaccinated. According to the data from the U.S. Health Ministry, the vaccines have shown a decrease in efficacy of about 64% and greater for middle-aged adults. Even so, the vaccines are still effective up to 95% against hospitalization as they prevent severe symptoms due to the infections.
Pun kita punya niat dalam setiap rezeki, adanya rezeki orang lain. Memang adalah semangat dan jiwa saya untuk meneruskan perniagaan ini sehingga berjaya. Bagi saya, kita membuat kerja, kalau boleh kita buat kerja dengan ikhlas. Jangan lupa saksikan Gaspirasi setiap Rabu jam 9 malam hanya di TVS saluran 122, Astro dan MyTV.
Under the great blue sky over Hornbill's land grows Sarawak's treasure, pepper. Its reputation precedes itself and is used by millions all over the world. However, very few understand the challenges faced by pepper farmers. Episode 3: Adversity.
12号星期一早上9点30分，我是华校生有东马歌后田玉慈的华校故事 Astro 频道122以及 My TV 尽在 TVS。
Don't know what to do next. 失败了。Can this be safe? 让他冷静一下。Malaysian style. Not Malaysian style, huh? Peter shouldn't use the same spoon. Correct. That's good. Yeah, that's all the other contestants say. 比我做铁花更难。猫山王，我也希望他赢了。
Thank you for staying with me. And now on to world affairs. It is not uncommon for a waterspout to appear in Singapore's coastal waters. Earlier this morning, a large column of waterspout appeared nearby the Tanah Merah ferry terminal and had its 5 minutes of fame on social media. The video was filmed by a passenger who was on board the Tanah Merah ferry. He informed the local news agency that the waterspout lasted for about 20 to 30 minutes, which also caused another to spawn nearby. Waterspouts are an occasional appearance in Singapore's coastal waters, and they usually dissipate rapidly upon reaching the coast. And deforestation in Brazil's Amazon rainforest rose for the fourth consecutive month to 1.8% in June compared to a year ago, to 1,062 square kilometers, amidst concern that the destruction and a drought will fuel worsening forest fires in the dry season ahead.
In the first 6 months of the year, deforestation in the region had risen 17%, with 3,610 square kilometers, or 4 times the size of New York City, being cleared, according to National Space Research Agency, INPE.
Felizmente, o mês de junho trouxe mais uma má notícia para a floresta. Depois dos recordes de queimada, o que a gente viu foi recorde de desmatamento. São 1.062 quilômetros quadrados de destruição em toda a floresta. Isso continua acontecendo por conta da política antiambiental do governo e também pelo estímulo do Congresso.
Deforestation has surged since President Jair Bolsonaro took office in 2019, drawing international outcry from foreign governments and the public. Bolsonaro has called for mining and agriculture in protected areas of the Amazon and has weakened environmental enforcement agencies, which environmentalists and scientists say has directly resulted in the rising destruction. Last month, he deployed the military to protect the Amazon region and broadly banned most outdoor fires, repeating policies enacted annually since 2019 that have failed to reduce deforestation or fires. An investigation earlier this month found that Bolsonaro has obstructed the system for environmental fines, one of the primary means for protecting the rainforest and punishing illegal deforestation, with 17,000 fines have gone uncollected. Scientists say the protection of the Amazon is vital to curbing climate change because of the vast amount of greenhouse gas that the forest absorbs.
And that concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. And as always, thank you for tuning in to your local news tonight. Here with me, Shosha Metro, and I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend.